Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see so many faces together. Welcome to the Dean's Review of the 2021 year. Pleased to have faculty, staff, and students here, as well as online. We have some guests who are watching as well. So thanks for coming, and I hope that you will find this review of the year hopefully joyful. We've had a hard year, I think, and it's hard, as Satina mentioned there at some point in the last few weeks, it's hard to look back sometimes because we've had things happen in the last year that maybe were uncomfortable or bad or sad. But we have the opportunity today to look back at all of the positive, wonderful things that the School of Optometry has accomplished, even under a difficult situation of a pandemic. So I want to thank all of you for persisting through your time during the pandemic and all the things that you do, the small things, the big things, even just showing up some days, because all of it makes a difference. And really, we're a small team, but we are a team. And that's been no more apparent to me now than ever before with all that we've accomplished. So welcome. As you leave, you saw the lunches out there. So we tried to have a lunch to support all of you too. So grab a lunch on your way that was supported by the School of Optometry. So we had a time this year where we were all able to finally come back together. So in August, when we finally were in school again, I mean, we've been together, but apart, for a lot of 2020 and then even moving into 2021. So when we were finally able to be back together again, I think we were celebrating a little bit and hoping that things were on the mend and the better. But we've still managed to be going through some of the same things, and yet we still continue to shine. We do value the in-person learning. And so while we know sometimes it's difficult and wearing masks is difficult and all the protocols that we have in clinic and even on this campus and the changing rules, we do realize that being together is more important than being apart. And we hope that we are able to continue to be together as we move forward. So let's look, we like to start out these presentations by looking back at the numbers. Certainly we couldn't do any of this without all of you. And so when we look through the numbers, it's kind of fun to remember where we've been. But before I do that, I want to thank the senior administrative team of the school. You don't see this group all the time. You might see them in clinics, in passing, but you probably don't see the group very often. But know that behind the scenes, this group is working on all of your behalf all the time in their particular areas. So I'd like to thank them and give a moment for them to kind of actually do a little hand wave. I know not all of them are here today, but we call this group the Dean's Group, and we meet weekly and talk about issues that are going on, about strategic planning for the school, growth in the clinic, all kinds of different things on a very regular basis, and have been meeting weekly really for the past, all through the pandemic. So if I call your name and you're here, do a little wave. I'd like to thank all these individuals. Our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Dr. Christine Hopkins. Our Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs, Dr. Beth Steele. Our Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies, Dr. Tim Kraft. Our Associate Dean for Student Affairs, Dr. Gerald Simon. Our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Dr. Keisha Elder. Our Chair of the Department of Optometry and Vision Sciences, Dr. Adam Gordon. Our Director of the Vision Science Graduate Program, Dr. Lawrence Sinsich. And the Director of the Vision Science Research Center, Dr. Steve Pittler. We also have on the executive team, the Executive Director of Administrative Operations, Mr. Chris Botwell. You all know him for the money guy and who will fix anything around the school. And last but not least, Ms. Cindy Weiss, who is Executive Administrator and keeps us all on task. So thanks to this team for their efforts in sort of corralling the activities at the school. But having said that, there are many more of you who have a leadership role in some way in our school because we're so small. So really, this is a thank you to all of you who lead in big and small ways to help make us so great. So who are we? We couldn't really be who we are without really all the things you're going to see today, but we are really grateful for our donors. Our donors provide some of the financial support that allow us to come together and have fun events And our donors provide financial support for things like scholarships. And so they're really critical to our mission and critical for us to continue to support. Many of them are our alums and our industry partners, and we're really grateful for them. When I started back in 2014, I think we had around 50 scholarships, so maybe even a few less. So we've grown a lot since that time. It's always been a priority to continue to endow scholarships to allow for students to have even a little bit more cash, because we know it's so hard to be a student. You'll see at the bottom there, under patient care, we report these numbers annually. We report them on UAB's strategic plan dashboard. It's a public-facing document, and they account for the School of Optometry, for medicine, and for dentistry, the number of patient visits, and our overall patient satisfaction. We'll talk about that a bit more. But I do want you to know that our numbers are back and above pre-2019. And we worked hard to get there with all the protocols in clinic and making sure that we could continue to see the patients that we wanted to see. We also started adding appointments in optical, which increased our patient visits, I wouldn't say necessarily dramatically, by enough. And they are real patient visits, and they are patients who come into our clinic. So finally, we were able to count them in part of this metric. We'll talk a bit more about that metric as we go along. Research is also part of our mission. It's one of our strategic pillars as well. And there is an official ranking system through the Association of Schools and Colleges of Optometry, which all of those schools contribute a report each year, which documents the levels of NIH funding, of industry support for research and other types of grants, foundation grants, et cetera. For that, we bring in about $3 million of research, which we are a pretty small group to be doing that. And for that, we are ranked second in NIH funding through all the schools and colleges of optometry, second to Berkeley. And we are fourth overall relative to total dollars. There are a few schools that have a few big sort of outreach grants that give them large dollar amounts. So do we have the number 2 and the number 3 in our sights? We do. In order for us to achieve the number 1 research status, we would have to really significantly grow our research faculty. Berkeley's faculty is quite a bit larger when it comes to research. But we are definitely small but mighty, and we've added, as you'll see, some research faculty, so hopefully those numbers will continue to increase. Really, one of our key pillars is education, and that's education in our professional program and our graduate program, and through what I think is a unique offering that we have at UAB, the combined degree programs. So we have currently 197 optometry students, 21 students seeking a PhD, and 16 dual degree students in a variety of the different choices, so MS, MPH, and MBA. And each year when I'm talking to students who are thinking about coming to UAB, I talk about that as a benefit of our program. It might not be for every student, but if you are that student who wants to have that experience, it's there for you. We're also very proud of our post-optometry education in terms of our residency program. Under the leadership of Dr. Caroline Pate, we continue to grow that program with new offerings, maintaining the excellence that we currently have. 2 years ago now, we started a residency at Vanderbilt in pediatric ophthalmology, which was the brainchild of the group there and Dr. Kathy Weiss, and then overseen in terms of its execution by Dr. Pate. And so far, it's been a hugely successful residency program. In the next year, we will be adding a new site, Eye Center of Texas, which will bring 4 more residents to our total then of 16 residents that will be part of our program. And it's a really exciting referral center for LASIK and other refractive surgeries, as well as disease management. And so it adds something to our portfolio we currently don't have. Really excited for that to come on this year. So here's our class of 2025. I know some of you are here today, and I absolutely love this picture. Do you know why? Because there was another picture taken just like this, probably right after this, which is one of those crazy shots, and somebody is being sort of hoisted up into the air, and it's super fun. So I look at this one, I'm like, yes, this is the serious shot, but really they're not that serious. And it was a pleasure to welcome them in person. I think that every optometrist in this room is looking at their numbers, their entering GPA, their average entering GPA, and their average OAT score, and thinking, not so sure I would have gotten into optometry school if I had to achieve that level of grades and OAT scores. It's the highest ever. And you should be proud of that initial accomplishment that got you here. And I know you're in the midst of tests and all of that keeps piling on and you have to get to Cuddleworth Hall right after this, but it's all worth it in the end. And we are super proud to have you here. So we have 4 pillars, as I mentioned previously: education, discovery, community engagement, and patient care. These are part of our strategic plan, and we're probably about 3 years into our current strategic plan. In 2023, late 22 and 23, we'll be revising our strategic plan to align with the university as the university revises its strategic plan. We have a committee called the Dean Strategic Advisory Committee that meets 3 times a year, pretty much semesterly. And in the first meeting, we talk about 2 of the pillars. In the second meeting, we talk about the other 2 pillars. And the third meeting, we put together ideas for what's called the provost goals. And I'll talk about that towards the end. And this committee is made up of faculty, staff, students, alums, emeritus, someone from the emeritus committee, general member from the community that's been a supportive of the School of Optometry. So it's a broad group to help sort of give ideas of what the school should look like, kind of with an outside influence as well, so that we make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community as well as internally as we're going forward with the strategic plan. So again, I mentioned we are really fortunate to have great donors amongst our midst. And the 2 that I'm going to talk about next really kind of set the mark above and beyond in terms of their support for the school. And that would be Dr. John Amos, who is Emeritus Dean and Professor, and his wife, Dr. Kathy Amos, who is the first female graduate from our program. If you're in my first year class or have, certainly if you're a student here, you've seen them both talk to our class in the past probably 7 or so years in terms of giving their overview of optometry in Alabama and optometry in general and the fight for legislative authority. And it's been wonderful from that point to hear them and how involved they've been in the school. But we have something new to share with you today, which is really exciting. They've been donors, you can see on the right-hand column there, they've been donors over the years, number of scholarships and such. They are in the process of completing a fund that will allow us to name, for the very first time, a faculty member as a faculty scholar. So it will be a named faculty scholar, and with that comes prestige and recognition and some funds to be able to support this particular scholar. The details of how that scholar will be picked and what exactly it will be named and what the person will look like are yet to be determined. But this is a big first for our school in being able to then recruit or maintain a faculty member of high quality. And we hope to continue to grow the number of these that we have over the years, but we're completely thankful to the Amoses for their generosity and continuing to support our school in meaningful ways. This past year, we've all had an opportunity to reflect on ourselves, reflect on society, reflect in general. That's been led at the school really, and well, in optometry as a whole, by many groups, and in optometry here at the school with Dr. Keisha Elder's help as the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We have a big team of people who are very supportive of these initiatives though, and Dr. Gerald Simon, Dr. Janine Sims in Student Affairs and CEC, going out to the Black Belt, just really supporting the community in so many ways that so many of you participate in. And so we've had the opportunity to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion over the past year. It's something I'm pretty passionate about. I'm pretty passionate about it as ASCO president. And I think that our profession has done an excellent job in really kind of trying to create a sense of belonging. It's really important to me, if I've talked to you as a student when you are interviewing, I talk about it because we are a small family, and everyone feeling like they play a role in that and have a part in that is important to me and important to our school. One of the ideas that Dr. Elder had last year was to do a 21-day challenge. This is a a thing that's existed for a long time, and some other, I don't know exactly how long, but it's existed out there in the internet and out there in different groups. And we wanted to try and embrace that here at the School of Optometry. So we launched a diversity challenge, and I say we in the most global way of we's. Keisha put together this program, which had for each day, a little option that you could choose from 3 or 4 different things that you could focus on learning something different. And so a lot of us participated in it, not only at the school, but in the administration of the university. And not only the administration of the university, including the provost and some of the other deans, but deans and presidents of schools and colleges of optometry across the country, and even some of their administration. So it just gave us all a moment to reflect. And I don't know if we're going to have one this year. I sure hope we do. Again, discovery is one of our important pillars, and it's important to me because I like to say that we're at a place, UAB, which isn't just about knowledge regurgitation and learning that in that sort of passive way, that we are a place that's all about knowledge creation. UAB as a university is over $500 million in NIH funding, solving health problems that will probably impact all of us in some way or another over the years. That puts us in, really the top 20 of public institutions around the country in terms of the amount of research going on health-related issues. And that's really something to be proud of. It's something to be proud of during the pandemic when we were needing to know all kinds of information from experts, and we had those experts in infectious disease here at UAB. So I like to say that not only in just eye-related research, but in general research, we are really at a powerhouse. But that does translate down to all of us in the research that we do in optometry. Some of it is very fundamental, trying to understand how the brain works, how vision works, how photoreceptors and rods and cones work, or how patient-related vision therapy works, how dry eye, how new drugs can come onto the market through dry eye studies. So we do a lot of that here at UAB. We don't talk about it all the time, but it's something that's really important to us. We also like to contribute in a way to science that will help advance things. And this year, the School of Optometry, in partnership with the Department of Ophthalmology and the P30 grant, with some funds that were remaining and rolled over, were able to purchase a really, really expensive microscope. This really expensive microscope is one of a kind so far, we think, in the United States, and will allow our very large vision science research community to look at really, really small things and try and understand those mechanisms even better. It will be a recruitment tool for researchers all across the campus to come here, and we're really, really hopeful that this will create some really great knowledge and great science. Our students in our vision science program continue to achieve great things too and come up with notable firsts. Mai Nguyen was the first student to ever receive an F32 Pre-Doctoral Individual National Research Service Award. We're very proud of her for that. I'll let you read her title of her project there. Sounds very smart, doesn't it? And Seth Fortman, who is a dual degree student working on an MD PhD, who focuses on retinal diseases. And his title of his F30 research grant is the role of choroidal macrophages in regulating lipid homeostasis and immunosuppression of the RPE and choroid. So if that sounds like a lot to you, it is, and we're incredibly proud to support them and mentor these students with our great faculty. Community engagement has always been a huge strength of the School of Optometry. And it's something that all of us have probably been involved with and really care passionately about, is caring for those in need, providing services for those who maybe don't have the opportunities to have those sorts of eye care services. If you talk to Dr. Sims, she would say that we do this every day of the year. It's just what we do. But we do focus on one particular section of the year in Gift of Sight, which is sort of our hallmark, giving back to the community activity. Over the last 2 years, because of COVID, we've done it at Western. It used to be all hands on deck in the School of Optometry, and maybe we'll get back there. But even though we had to adapt, like CEC has had to adapt over the past year and a half, pretty much 2 years, we were able to still provide care and referrals and glasses for 212 patients. And a lot of you played a role in that. It really makes my heart feel good to know that we're contributing in that way to the eye care needs of our community. Oh yeah, I didn't even show you this slide. There it is. There you go. I thought it advanced. So since I focused on Dr. Sims for a moment, I want to remind you all, I mean, you might have heard this earlier, that she received a really big award this year. And when she found out that she received this award, we were kind of in the back hallway on the first floor, and she came in and said, "I'm not the bridesmaid anymore. I'm not the bridesmaid anymore," because she had been nominated for this award for years. And well, I don't know how many years, but she'd been nominated before. This is a UAB award. One faculty member at UAB gets this award. It's established by UAB to recognize a faculty member who has rendered outstanding service to UAB's community. So just to think about that for a moment, that out of all the people, all the faculty at UAB, Dr. Sims was selected to be the recipient of this award. Should make you all feel really proud. Yeah. She's here somewhere. I know I saw her. And I have a little secret that, that you can't tell anyone about, but the NOSA chapter here at UAB is going to be recognized in March as one of the President's Diversity Champions. I know, you can do that, that's okay up there. We can cheer. For all that they do. Now, I'll tell you that they were selected for this award out of all the student groups on campus, all of them. Us, little optometry, making big changes. So when you are allowed to know that in March, you will definitely have to celebrate with us as we celebrate the NOSA chapter here at UAB. So we love to make changes at this school. And I know all of you are so good at change now because we've been so good with change over the past, 5 or 6 or 7 years. We've been doing renovations in our clinic and at our school since 2015. So I appreciate that all of you definitely are willing to change, but all these changes really do add up to improvements in our ability to recruit students, to recruit faculty, and to provide, most importantly, meaningful patient care. So we've all suffered through it all, but we are now reaping the benefits of some of this beautiful work. For those of you who are watching online, you haven't seen our clinic and you don't know that our optical location has shifted from the side where it used to be to the smack middle of the clinic, where the giant waiting room used to be. We are utilizing space in a very different way. And I hope that those of you who knew it before and those of you that know it now know that it is a big difference. It's bright and shiny and very, very positive right there in the middle of our waiting area. And I think is making a big difference to patients, to doctors, staff, and students alike. It hasn't come without some growing pains. Trying to figure out where, I hear some giggles. It doesn't come without trying to figure out where everything goes and how the flow goes, and we're getting there. But in general, it is nice to have this new space to work with. We've added some new services at the school. So we have expanded our low vision services. We have Dr. Terry Call and Crystal Mahari and Mark Swanson, who are cheering in the back and leading the efforts to ensure that our patients don't have a long lag time in low vision care, that they have an option instead of going next door to Callahan or in conjunction with going next door to Callahan, where we partner with the Center for Low Vision Rehab. And so again, I think this is going to continue to grow. And when we ultimately get to the next phase of renovation, there'll be some space for them to have, hopefully, an expanded in-house clinic that will help meet our needs of our patients. Again, I said change is our middle name and challenge is our middle name this year. And I don't know in a situation like this what you've gone through, personally. I know that when you come to work and school and clinic, you come there very professionally. So for whatever it is that you've worked through this year, I just want to congratulate you on getting here and doing it, and keep going, because I hope that everything that we've shown today will encourage you, and what you're going to see in the next few slides will encourage you even more. So in terms of, we're going to go through some awards now. Again, more awards. Dr. Christine Hopkins was identified as the ALOA Educator of the Year. And as we go through these successes, you're going to see, and I said to Satina as we were working through this, that this presentation this year is really all about the people. And there's just a lot of great things our people have done this year, and we're going to see a few more of those successes. So Dr. Andrew Pucker, in addition to being a fellow in the American Academy of Optometry and a diplomate, he became a fellow in the British Contact Lens Association. Dr. Keisha Elder was selected from across campus to participate in the Healthcare Leadership Academy. Dr. Jason Nichols, who some of you don't know is my other half, is in the Office of Research, and he was named as Senior Associate Vice President for Research. Dr. Tamara Oshlin was selected for the UAB Healthcare Educators Academy, so there's a lot of different leadership opportunities for any of those out there who are willing to pursue them. And I have the fortune of representing all of you as ASCO President, the Association of Schools and Colleges of Optometry, as well as Secretary for NAVER-AVER, which is a research advocacy group. And I hope I'm doing a good job in representing you. We had some other additional successes in terms of Bob Bai getting a research grant to develop a new interferometry system. What's that? Well, it's a way of looking at the tear film and understanding its parameters. Dr. Jillian Zemansky received the Korb Exford Dry Eye Career Development Award in addition to her other accolades. Dr. Beth Steele received the Dean's Distinguished Faculty Award and also was promoted to professor this year. We've had some new hires and promotions. Safal Kanal joined us as a tenure track assistant professor. Finally, we were able to get Dr. Julie Quinet here, who was in France for a long time, and many of you would think not so bad to be stuck in France, but she really wanted to be here in her new faculty position. So I honestly think we might have offered and sealed the deal in 2020. I'm not sure about that, but so we're just so thrilled that finally we get to see you in person. Dr. Andrew Rothstein joined us fairly recently as assistant professor. Dr. Adam Gordon, who is our department chair, was promoted to professor. Dr. Gerald Simon was named Associate Dean for Student Affairs. Dr. Tim Kraft became the Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies. He was interim prior to that. And Dr. Lawrence Sinsich became the Director of the Vision Science Graduate Program. He was also interim before that, and he was promoted to professor this year. We've had some faculty or some alums return to our school in a variety of different ways. And that's fantastic because I think their real world experience that they bring to the clinic as attendings and in some of our courses like CEVS is really wonderful. So Dr. Brooke Kaplan has joined us part-time. Dr. Jennifer Craig and Dr. Emma Budradis have joined us as instructor, and you see them in CEVS. And other places. And Dr. Rachel Harvey is come on and joined us also as a clinical assistant professor. Some additional faces you might not see all the time, but please, if you do, welcome them and give them a good UABSO welcome. But sometimes we have people leave us, and Dr. Claudio Busatini, who was here for many years and worked with some of you and taught classes obviously here, retired this past year. And I haven't heard, I was going to try and check before this presentation, I think he was planning, well, I know he was planning on moving to Turkey, but I don't know if he is actually been able to do that yet. So he is, nope, not yet. He is going to have a real wonderful new life in a different place, hopefully sooner rather than later. Down in the clinic, you know, things are a tight ship sometimes, and it took that in order to keep us all afloat, no pun intended there, while we were going through COVID. So last year at graduation, a new award was created called the Dean's Outstanding Staff Award, and it was given to these two. Couldn't separate out which one of them was more deserving, so we gave it to them both. Mel, you see around the clinic, kind of, she keeps things a little quiet and inside, but she's got a lot of planning and things going on up there and keeping everything organized. She always keeps her cool. And of course, Randall Tibbs in optical, well, has to keep cool because we gave him a whole new optical. You know, he had to walk up and down the stairs with glasses every day in order to do things in his office. And so the extra efforts these two went through and are continuing to go through during this time have been really remarkable. If you were at the holiday party when we had people like stand up and introduce themselves if they had come on in COVID, and we were all a bit shocked that so many people stood up. Well, here are some of those that have been hired in 2021. So we have Taylor Sullivan, clinic coordinator for CEC, Lacey Gauman, who is a researcher one with Dr. Jillian Zemansky in her lab, Keisha Blue, who is clinic coordinator for specialty clinics, Lindsay Jenkins, who is financial officer, Caleb Jones, who you see running around all over the place taking photos of everything. Christy Riverall, who's probably maybe the newest staff member to join us, who is the CEVS ophthalmic technician and helper extraordinaire. And we're really excited she's back with us. We also have Kira Range, clinic coordinator for peds. Tony Slovensky, optician. Dina Robinson, who is office services specialist. And researcher one, Pallavi Nagdev, which I probably really ruined her name, but I welcome you nonetheless. We also have, not mentioned here, but something that's notable is that Markayla Peoples in contact lens. She has been started as a work study student with us, and we'll probably talk about her more next year, because next year she will join the class of 2026. So that's super exciting. A loss to one side, but a gain in the other, so all good. And we really do care about our people and making sure that they are achieving their best and getting promoted as well. So Dr. Elizabeth Peters was promoted to lead customer service representative. Of course, you know she's the voice when you're getting into the parking lot, and near and dear to our school. Quentin Franklin to researcher 2. James Fortenberry to researcher 3. And you might wonder, what's the difference between 1, 2, and 3? Well, UAB has something called a research ladder, which is a path towards continued promotion for those that choose research as their career. And then on top of the research path, there's also a scientist path in a similar way. And that was developed a few years ago, again, to allow for those in those sorts of jobs to be promoted. Amy Drinkard was promoted to program coordinator 2. Roland Harris to personnel generalist 2, and Connie Wright, as Gerald moved into associate dean for student affairs. Connie is now the director of student affairs, which is actually very consistent with other schools and colleges of optometry who usually don't have the very good fortune of having a faculty member in the role of director of student affairs. But now we have Connie. And there'll be a new member joining their team soon. We yet to be determined who that will be. Right, Connie? Yes, she's nodding yes. Additionally, we had a few more promotions. Chris was promoted to Executive Director of Administrative Operations, which better reflects what he does related to building management. He was doing all those activities kind of not within his job title. Roy Joseph promoted to Scientist 1, and Candace Morissette to Clinic Coordinator. This one makes me a little bit sad. Chuck, all of you knew Chuck if you've been around the school for any period of time. He was a maintenance man around our school, but would do anything for you. I think he was probably one of the first 3 people I met at UAB. And no matter where I would see him on campus, he would always say hi to me. No matter what, he was there. And all of you know him from being just the quiet guy kind of behind the scenes. We lost him this past year to COVID. And if you look at Dr. Swanson's comment, he literally kept the lights and the machinery working at the school. But more than that, he was kind of like glue. He was just that guy who was there supporting UAB in general. And so he is missed. Our students have had great successes in the past year as well. And we have graduate student Siobhan Pallone, who received a Prevent Blindness Award. Walter Jackson, who is now resident at the VA next door, who was named NOSA Student of the Year nationally. Emma Platt, who won NOSA's logo contest nationally. So thanks, Emma, for putting forward. Every time we look at the new NOSA national logo, we'll be able to think of you for the next several years, hopefully. Darian Travis, who won the Pat Cummings Scholarship, which is an award giving to a student leader who has characteristics of being passionate about the profession and really involved. And then Annie Lane and Riley Camp, who are the recipients of the 2021 Academy Foundation and VSP Practice Excellence Scholarship nationally. And I keep talking about NOSA, but we've had a long series now of NOSA students from our chapter that go on to be national officers. So this year, Kiara Goins is elected recording secretary. Daniel Ewart is treasurer, and then Darian just keeps winning scholarships. So Darian won the Will Kelly Memorial Scholarship from NOSA. Actually, it might be from the NOA, I'm not sure of that. So Candace Turner this year is the president of our Alumni Association, and it's always nice to have a president of the Alumni Association from within. They really understand what's going on at the school and can really try to encourage the board to think about all the things that are important for students in the school. Dr. Turner was promoted to associate professor this year. And as she led the group, they like to put together each year a list of some of the accomplishments that the Alumni Association does for the school. And over the years, they have endowed several scholarships. So here's the deserving students who have received the scholarships that have been endowed by the Alumni Society. They also support things like the transitions panel for the fourth years and things related to homecoming and really some of our receptions and things like that. So we're really grateful for the Alumni Association and the things that they do under Dr. Turner's leadership this year. We recognize, or that group recognizes, an alumnus of the year and a sort of a young alumnus of the year. This year, many of you in this room know this individual. Dr. Rob Pate was named alumnus of the year. Probably most known, well, he's a fantastic optometrist, but he's written 2 motivational books, and he also played football for Auburn. And I think now he might be a commentator for Auburn football, but all in all, just a fantastic guy. 5 kids, and just a really, really fantastic optometrist involved and worthy of being named alumnus of the year. Dr. Runyon is our young OD of the year. He served up until recently at Chinle Service Unit in Chinle, Arizona, which is on Navajo Nation. It's a hard place to actually be a doctor. You see everything. Everything gets thrown at you when you're out there, and you're really out there in the middle of nowhere. If you're in Chinle, you're probably 3 to 4 hours a drive from Albuquerque, which is the largest next city. So pretty much you're taking care of everything out there. And it's amazing that our alum ended up out there, and we've had students who have gone out to that region doing externships. He's now relocating to Norfolk, Virginia. And I know when you emerge from Navajo life back into, it's a bit of an adjustment. So I'm looking forward to catching up with him in a meeting and seeing how his sort of change over to his new position at Virginia Eye Consultants and seeing what that's all been like. But we're really proud of him. And these 2 alums actually kind of snuck up on us and won this award without us even knowing about it. There is an award that is put on by UAB in terms of the National Alumni Society, where you can submit the name of your business and then be selected as one of the top 25 kind of young businesses in terms of business growth. So they look at some of the metrics in terms of growth over the years, and these 2 submitted and were awarded, Dr. Shad Wheatley and Warren Gwynn, and were recognized along with bankers and other types of businesses in the Birmingham community. And we're really, really proud of them. They're basically a business to watch. So over these next couple of slides, I know the students have to kind of sneak out of here pretty quickly at some point, but I want to look forward. So we've looked back and we've looked at all the things and all the people who have accomplished great things at the school, but I wanted to give you just a little snippet of what you can expect to continue to see now and as we move forward through the rest of 2022. So again, I'm going to focus one more time on our 4 pillars, really with one vision. And each year I mentioned that we are required to, and it is a requirement, submit 3 goals to the Provost's office of things that we're going to sort of be working on and tracking over the course of the year. Our first one, and they're listed sort of there for this year, our first one is always centered around the patient care pillar because that is a UAB metric. And so we continue to work on patient satisfaction and patient numbers. And Dr. Steele and the team in the clinic have been working really hard to try and come up with creative ideas to continue to grow in a variety of different ways. Growth doesn't always just mean numbers. And so we are kind of really dedicated to the patient-centered experience. Secondly, we have a research goal, which is to increase NIH funding by 2.5%, over what we were last year. That doesn't seem like very much, but when you don't have very many people, that actually can seem like a lot. And when you increase the number of your faculty and they're coming on and writing all those grant proposals, but not yet hitting that big mark, it takes a little bit of time. So we're growing in this area, and we want to increase not only the overall dollar amount, increase the per research faculty dollar amount as well. And we've been working on ways in terms of support to be able to achieve that goal. And lastly, and very importantly, we're focusing on wellness and student success. This seems like an awful soft metric, and it was to the provost as well, but it's one that I've been talking with her about really for the past probably year and a half. So all of you who completed the wellness survey that just came out recently, that actually is our baseline metric for this wellness sort of program and this third provost goal. So all the activities that the new wellness committee will be putting together over the next several months, all through the summer, all will be aimed at really improving the responses that we received from that survey. And it is sort of an overarching goal and one of our 3 provost goals for the year. So, you know, we renovate one space and then move on to the next. And actually, this is really already open. So the new space is where the specialty clinics, myopia control and dry will be, as well as the faculty practice. So you'll see that there's new waiting area, there's new conference rooms, and hopefully you'll have some access to this space in the near future. And you'll see on the top, I've kind of put both of the pillars that I think this relates to. And you'll see that some of the things I'm going to talk about in the next minute or two really reflect more than one pillar, which is actually the best approach if you're going to make it meaningful. And so we're trying to overlap our pillars in any way we can. We're opening, this is again the global we, but we're joining an existing clinic called the 1917 Clinic. And you're wondering, why is it even called that? Well, 2 buildings ago, it was in a building that had the numbers 1917, and that name has just sort of stuck. It is known as a clinic that takes care of HIV patients, and they've been working with us to put in basically exam lanes, and so that we'll be over there to be able to see patients, a really robust experience that's with multiple health professions. We will start there on February 14th. Things are going smoothly, and to our knowledge, the 3 individuals that are credentialed through medicine to work there, this is the very first time that anybody in optometry has been credentialed in medicine. And so Amy Logan and Andrew Rothstein and Beth Steele, all 3 of them now have medicine credentials. It's a great way to be working together with others on this campus. And I hope you all have an opportunity, many of you will have the opportunity to be there. We welcomed Edmund Arthur in the beginning of this year, kind of offered him the position last year, but he's joined us early this year. His research interests are in diabetes and dementia, really from a patient care perspective. Again, you'll see the discovery and education are 2 components of him. And here's some more good news. We have just finished recruiting Dr. Yu Chen Wang to join us as a research faculty member. He'll be joining us in April, and look at that infectious smile. I mean, if you had to have somebody explain something really difficult to you and they were smiling at you like that, you might just do this, but you would enjoy that interaction. And we're really looking forward to him joining us at the school. And last but not least, in terms of new information, we also will have Dr. Nick Onken joining us. He is his area of emphasis is pediatrics and vision therapy. And so I am sure our PEDS team is incredibly thrilled to hear that he is going to be joining us as of May 1st. He has all 3 because I think he has the potential to do both research, patient care, and teaching. So he got all 3 of those banners. I told you earlier that, we were really thrilled that the Amoses have the very first named scholar, but we've been working with Cooper Vision to do something similar. They have a pledge to also name a scholar. And again, this will take a little bit of time to get ironed out, but we're incredibly thankful for this named scholarship this named scholar as well as it comes forward. I just have really pretty much one more slide, and this is to focus on the Wellness Committee. Many of you attended the wellness event. Over 80 people came, which is a really big number for something like this at our school. And I hope it wasn't just for the free healthy snacks, that it was to learn something about, wellness bingo or some of the activities that we were going to be doing. This committee is going to be really important in reviewing the survey and then determining where our areas of need might be and what other fun stuff we can do together. So they ask questions like, what would you be willing to do? Would it be yoga or something on the plaza or just getting together or taking a walk or all kinds of things? So look forward to more programming that is optional programming, but there for you from this committee as well as we go forward. If we don't have wellness, we can't have any of those other pillars. So we really do have to focus on wellness, belonging, and inclusion. So that's a summary of where we've been, a little bit about where we're planning to go. I'm happy to take any questions. I know the students have to run out and do a 10-minute walk or sprint, but if you have a question, you can either come up or if you want to raise your hand bravely, I'll take it too. Any questions? All right, well, hearing none and seeing that they're all clearing out, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being part of our school.